people off and stuff. And Vito had remarried some much younger. I mean, she was too young for me. Yeah, I didn't think he was all that great. He's an interesting person.
Yeah.
This is all stuff.
Right.
Rodney, it's nice to meet you. I've watched you and seen you and heard you for years.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nice to see you in person.
Thank you.
Oh, I could hide neath the wings of the bluebird as she sings. The 6 o'clock alarm would never ring, but it rings and I rise, wipe the sleep out of my eyes. My shaven razor's cold and it stings. Cheer up, sleepy Jean, oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen? Cheer up, sleepy Jean, oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen?
106.7 K-Rock, KROQ, K-Rock FM, Pasadena, Los Angeles. Famous K-Rock.
That's right, it's 9 o'clock and time for the original Rodney on the Rock, right here on 106.7 K-Rock. Now back to some new music. I got new Monaco, new Spiritualized, new Oasis, Blur, everything from now till 10, and then I'll be back at midnight for part 2. So stay tuned for the original Rodney on the Rock show. I was always into music when I grew up, collecting those 45s and listening to all those amazing 45s as a kid, those girl bands and the pop bands. That really turned me on. That's why I came to Los Angeles, basically. I wasn't into the psychedelic scene, more into the pop. I was hitchhiking, running away from home. I came to Los Angeles as a kid, thumb out, hitchhiking from Mountain View, California to Hollywood, where the bright lights in the city and the Sunset Strip. It was just amazing. It was an amazing time growing up, witnessing all that. The excitement, the brightness, the girls especially, the rock and roll, the music. Some great music was happening, especially with the Byrds and the Beach Boys.
Madness auditions folk and roll musician-singers for acting roles in new TV series. Running parts for 4 insane boys aged 17 to 21. Want spirited Ben Franks types. Have courage to work. Must come down for interview.
Well, I went for the audition because of the ad that appeared in Hollywood Reporter. It said they wanted Ben Franks types, basically. Everybody hung out at Ben Franks, and that was the place to hang out. It was happening 24 hours. So I went down, and everyone's in line. You see Danny Hutton from Three Dog Night, Stephen Stills, even Bobby Beausoleil from the Manson family. Bryan Maclean from Arthur Lee's band Love was even there. He tried out for the Monkees.
I think about the Monkees, and I chuckle about the Monkees because of the fact that if there was anybody that was more wrong to cast the Monkees, I was the wrong guy to cast the Monkees. I really mean that. Everybody said, well, he knows all the young guys, and they were assigning pilots to people. And one day, they put this script on my desk, and I sat there and I read it, and I didn't have the bloodiest, faintest idea of what I was looking at. I got to be honest with you, right ballistic over my head. I had no idea what I was doing. And through the casting of the pilot, I was seeing great performers, wonderful people, nice, straight, wholesome Midwestern actors, and they kept turning everybody down.
I was vice president in charge of new projects at Screen Gems, which was the television subsidiary of Columbia Pictures. And in order to get a show in development, even if it was just a script, you had to come to me and I had to like it. I had power. Well, what happened was that Bob Rafelson walked into my office. This was maybe 6 months before I gave the original green light, and he said he wanted to do Hard Day's Night as a TV series. I said, go. And that's how it started.
I originally come from Boston, Massachusetts. I moved here when I was 20 years old. At about 19, I started singing professionally in clubs and restaurants around Boston. And then after that, I went to New York for a year. I don't know, I always had a passion for coming to sunny California, you know, with the weather, the beautiful weather, and the fact that Hollywood was here in Los Angeles. And I figured if I'm going to be in show business, it might be a great place to come. It's interesting because I never really did go for many auditions, but I guess I remembered pretty well. I remember the song that I sang, which was Hava Nagila, which is a weird choice, but the reason I sang that is because they asked me all these different songs I knew, and I guess they were tired of hearing maybe a lot of the same kind of things. So the minute I said Hava Nagila, one of the guys jumped on, sing Hava Nagila, you know? So I imagine in the interview they were hearing all different kinds of songs. And they were very impressed with my voice. And they were starting to say things like, you know, well, maybe we could put a wig on him and all this other kind of stuff because, you know, long hair was in and I had short hair. And I was cringing to think about at the time, God, they're going to put wigs on me. What are they going to do to me, you know?
I came here to Los Angeles in 1958 for the first time. At that time, I was signed with MGM Records in New York City. I was living in New York, and I had come out here on tour with those Dick Clark tours, and I came out here in 1964 to live. My agent called me and said they're seeing people for some group, the Monkees, and had no idea what it was. I decided to go, went to the audition, sang a couple of songs. I don't even remember what they were, met the people that were there, and then I went back again and met the people again. I went back a few times and never thought anything of it after I never heard from them, because it was some wonderful advice that somebody had given me. Go to an audition, do the best you can, forget about it, get on to the next. Don't think 1 minute, you know, was I good, was I awful, was I bad, you know. Just get on to the next one. And that's what I've tended to do, you know, so that's what I did in that case, and never heard from it. So I also auditioned for Robin and Batman and Robin, the TV show. And when I'm the famous finalist. I almost got that one too.
I had put under contract to the studio David Jones after seeing him on Broadway in Oliver. I didn't know what I was going to do with him, but I was hoping that we would find a show for him. And so I said that, well, we got one of your group.
All right, let me ask you something. I mean, like, do you make a folk sound or a rock sound or anything like that?
I make a terrible sound, but...
Hey, let me
No.
do the song and dance with you.
Song and dance?
Yeah, cartwheel, something. Do something, quick.
A song and... You must be joking.
No, I'm not.
What do you want me to do?
I'll dance one of your little quick things. Hey, baby, you want to know something? Honestly, hold it for a second.
What?
I really think you should have done a job.
When I was 19 and a half years old, I approached my brother, and And he said, how are you doing in school? I said, I'm tops in my class. He said, so you're going to be a commercial artist? I said, no, I want to do what you do. And he says, well, you have to learn to play the guitar and sing. He says, here's a guitar, now learn to play it and learn to sing. And so a week later, I went in for my first audition in Westwood, California, at a place called Ledbetter's. I was one of 250 guys that auditioned that day, and I was the last one that was brought into that group. That group was eventually evolved into a group called the New Society. And that's when I first met Michael Nesmith. I guess I worked with Michael Nesmith for about 2.5 years.
Oh, wow! Are you ready for this?
Why you do this concert?
What's that?
Play the music.
Well, I mean,
How'd you get to
why
it?
do they call that a light? I don't know. That's just where it's at.
Well, how'd you get to it? How long ago? You just came to it 2 years ago? What before that?
I was a failure.
Somebody told me, you know, go over here and audition. You know, there's a bunch of people that are trying to put a group together, the Monkees. For me, it was just another audition. I had known that there was so to speak, big money behind it, and that they had already had a couple members of the group during that time. But I do know for a fact that Michael made it, because Michael drove up to one of our rehearsals with the New Society in one of those cars that looked like a Thunderbird turbine engine car, and it was something like I had never heard before. It sounded like a jet plane that just pulled up in back of the alley and at the rehearsal. And then Michael steps out, and I knew he would be going with the Monkees definitely, because he had the car, and he had just bought a chinchilla miniskirt for his wife, and I knew he wasn't making that kind of money in the New Society.
I thought love was only true in fairy tales, and for someone else, but not for me. Our love was out to get me. That's the way it seemed. Disappointment haunted all my dreams. Then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind. I'm in love. I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her if I tried.
They were square. Extremely square. They just jumped on. I mean, that's the way we all looked at it. They just jumped on, and it had nothing to do with what was really going on. It was the Keystone Cops of rock. The lure was $700, $750 a week. There was a guy, Bobby Jameson, who told me about the audition. He said, you ought to go down there. You're what they're looking for. You'll make $750 a week, or whatever it was. It was an enormous amount. He didn't let me know that it was comedy. So I went down there being the hip street band guy, sort of graveling my voice and like, man, and like talking like this. And it was wrong. Thank God it was it was the wrong approach. And ironically, if I had have known, my sense of humor was what I was most well known for.
The Monkees' idea was cast actors who could play music. I wasn't looking for musicians who could act. I was looking for just the opposite.
11 or 12?
We were seeing people off the street. I mean, people were knocking on the doors, giving us a picture. And they were, for me in those days, a very strange lot of people. I've heard that Charles Manson was in on this. I have no recollection. And, but I'll tell you something, if he did come in and if he was kind of wacky, I would have sent him up to the producers. 3 trombones, 4 trumps, 5 sax. I know there's a rumor
Right.
that Stephen Stills was in. I never saw him, and if he did, maybe it was a different name on my list. I don't know. He certainly didn't need the Monkees.
Somebody told me that well, Stephen Stills doesn't want to talk about the Monkees, that, you know, he can't, well, you know, if sure he can't stand them now because maybe it's hip not to, but where the fact remains is he was there kissing ass trying to get the job, you know, what changed it?
I didn't belong in the Monkees. Or I did belong, and I'm still in denial about it. If I ever find out that I belonged in the Monkees, then I will probably really have a legitimate nervous breakdown. I think I belonged in something that involved pioneering, something that wasn't popular yet. My goal for my music was always timelessness.
Well, I just got out my little red book the minute that you said goodbye. I thumbed that through my little red book. I wasn't gonna sit and cry. Then I went from A to Z. I took out every pretty girl in town. They danced with me, and as I held them, all I did was talk about you.
Love was what is lovingly referred to as an underground, they say garage band now. We had a following, but it was underground, more or less. It wasn't meant to appeal to as many people as the Monkees' music was. I'm just glad I'm glad that they got the impression that I was this serious, sort of like drugged out guy. Because I don't think even the minimal amount of fame that I experienced was hard. It was difficult to stay balanced. To be honest, it almost killed me just to have the notoriety that I did. To have more, to be better known, to have my face more well known. I think it would have been pathogenic. I don't know if I would have lived through it.
The Monkee story continued at a London hotel. Perhaps refreshed, the fans got to work again. They got their reward.
When I went for that audition, I thought it could have been a great moment in my life, being on a weekly television show and doing music and meeting the right girls and just being part of that whole thing. But Davy Jones gave me my first legit job, which was working as his double stand-in on the Monkees. My first paycheck was from Screen Gems. The people who did the Monkees, they'd shoot the backs or the sides. I had the exact hairdo of him at the time. And did one of the episodes, The Prince and the Pauper.
Hi. What are you doing in America?
I ended up working at Capitol Records and did some work with Linda Ronstadt. Took her around and promoted her records, and then ended up working for Mercury Records and promoted David Bowie, Rod Stewart as a solo artist, Uriah Heep, and the Sir Douglas Quintet. And then I ended up, from there, going to London, and that's when I met up with Bowie, and then I got the idea for open up the Rodney's English Disco. Well, the disco was a club on Sunset Strip that I had called Rodney Bingenheimer's English Disco. It was a glitter glam club. It was the only club in the United States where you would hear David Bowie, T-Rex, The Sweet, Suzi Quatro, Mud, and Slade, and all these amazing people would show up dressed in glitter and platforms, and it was just the place. Led Zeppelin used to hang out there, Bianca Jagger, Keith Moon would come down and have a rave. It was amazing. It was the club, real wild. I mean, there were no rules, no holds barred. Imagine charging guys $2 to get in and girls $1. You can't do that nowadays.
For me, I felt I had talent because when I performed in clubs and restaurants, the applause was always very strong. People would come up and comment on what a beautiful voice I had, what a clear voice, how they loved the songs that I did. People would tell me, oh, you're going to be a big star and things like that. And of course, being a young man at the time, I was very impressed with the things that people bestowed upon me, the comments and things like that. In my heart, I wanted to be a pop singer and do that kind of music. And I would say it was probably in the early 70s. It's hard for me to remember exactly. I came to record this song because the fellows that had this song, the guys that wrote it, felt they had a hit. And they told me that they had tried over 100 singers. And when I went in, they liked me right off, and they wanted me to record it. They played it for several record companies. A&M and Dunhill Records at the time were very interested in the record. We felt it was going to do something, and I don't know what happened. All I know is it never got out. It was one of those things. That was disappointing for me, I'll be honest with you, because I loved the record. Everyone I played for that record said that song is a hit, and it was like, you know, when you hear that kind of stuff, you get very excited, and so there was a disappointment in that particular song not making it. As much as I loved singing and performing, it was never my #1 thing in my life. At some point in my life, I think when I started hitting my early 30s, I really get tired of singing at night all the time and working at night while everybody was, you know, off during the day. So I started to take a look if I really wanted to do that as a main thing in my life. And I went to a party. It was an outdoor party. I remember thinking at the time, gee, it would be kind of nice working outside. The weather's so beautiful in Southern California. And so I was at this party, like I said, and one of the fellows there was into pool cleaning. And I went over and I talked to him, and I asked him if I could go with him, and he'd show me the ropes, and he said, sure. So I went with him for 2 weeks. I learned how to do it. I started my own pool room. Told everybody I was now in the pool service business. And within probably 9 months to a year, I created my own business.
Somehow, I don't know if I could picture myself being a Monkee when I saw the finished product. They were kind of zany. And I was coming out of my very serious New York actor phase. I was working here in town all through the 70s. I worked every single club in town, did great business, was doing kind of a show with backup singers. I would make my sets myself, palm trees and my mirrored moon, and was doing 3 shows a night, packing them in. It was just incredible.
When my baby smiles at me, I go to Rio, de Janeiro, oh my Rio. I go wild and then I have to do the samba and la bamba. Oh, I'm that kind of person with a passion and frustration for dance or romance. But I get into the rhythm and my feet follow the beating of my heart.
I think any artist goes through periods where they don't feel as confident as they might have felt a year before that. And I think I went through that. I went through a lot of changes. Who am I? Where am I? What am I? Why am I here? And I know for a fact that I went through one of those, I don't know, is it called a midlife crisis? As a matter of fact, I was touring and traveling and doing clubs all over this country and all over the world, and I got tired. I was tired of the road, living out of a suitcase, traveling, not making lasting friends that you could see a lot. And I got into a business. A friend of mine told me about this business, and I started doing it, and the money was great. So I opened my own business, and it's dealing with banks, and I sell them all their paper and their ribbons for encoding their checks and doing things. And I also sell to department stores and to markets, and I sell them their paper that you see on the registers and their register ribbons. Very on showbiz, totally on me, totally. But I was able to work 4 or 5 hours a day and make $3,000 a week. And and I thought, I don't need to do this. I don't need to, you know. So I started, it just took off.
I've had a lot of experiences that would have killed most people. Drug overdoses, felony arrests. I was invited up to Sharon Tate in Romans the night that the Mansons showed up. Just all that goes with having a penchant for putting yourself in 100% into whatever you're doing wrong or right, and everything that goes with it. And there's a consequence that comes with your action, good or bad. And if you have the greatest drug, and it's the most, what you feel is the most euphoric experience, it ends, and then you're in trouble. You think you're getting onto the train and you're going to get off at the next stop. But before you realize it, before you know what's happening, you're lashed to the front of the train. It's a runaway train, and you're strapped to the front until it crashes. And when it crashes, you don't know how you're going to come out. Now, for me, I just simply don't have another a runaway train experience left in me.
There are people here tonight that he's spoken to, and you're ready to leave without him, because sin has gradually dulled your conscience until now.
I wasn't doing well. My mother had been converted watching Billy Graham on television, and she was praying for me, and just one night in a hotel room in New York, I just prayed, cried out to the Lord, and said, if you're real, you know, I'm going to give my life to you, because I'm afraid I'm going to destroy myself.
With what?
Every kind of destructive behavior you can imagine. I ended up walking away from the business at that point, but that had to do with being converted to Christianity and having that experience, and not so much being disenchanted with the music business.
Heard some DJs in my time, but who's the one that springs to my mind? It has to be the Prince of Pop, and that's Rodney on the rock. Ooh.
So are you a big Monkees fan?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Who's your favorite Monkee?
Davy Jones.
All right.
Well, you know, I have something to say. You might know me from a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
My name's Tanya.
Back in 1985, I used to play a lot of Monkees on my show, mixed with today, you know, the happening music at the time, along with the Bangles and stuff like that, Go-Go's. I'd play a lot of Monkees, and suddenly there was a big interest again. All the mods were really into the Monkees. So then I had the Monkees in the studio. I had interviewed with Mickey Dolenz and Davey, and they'd come by every now and then.
Have you been doing okay?
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You sound good.
Great. Thank you.
Well, shall I let you go?
I thought you liked Mickey, though. You used to like Mickey.
No, it's really the Rosa baby.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I had a friend,
Since I was a kid, and I remember growing up seeing the Monkees driving around their GTOs, I was jealous. I wanted a GTO. I was the car of my dreams. So I recorded a single, 45, of Blondie as my backup band, and they did it for me as a thank you for giving them their very first airplay. And we recorded a little GTO. Still didn't have a GTO, but we borrowed the guy's car, used it for the cover, and I ended up buying it from him. And I still have that car to this day. It's my own little GTO.
Little GTO, you really looking fine. 32 and a 4-speed, doing 389. You ought to see her check it out now. Listen to her whine, and one turn,
It's just cool. People are always pulling me over, asking me if I want to sell it, or, oh, nice car and stuff. But you know, I don't really go far. I don't really hang out that much anymore. Every day there's a few things I do. I go out to eat. I go out to Denny's coffee shop in Hollywood. And then I may have dinner over at the IHOP. IHOP is the International House of Pancakes, and we get all kinds of pancakes from all over the world. Then later on at night, I go over to this deli called Cantor's, and that was the place where we all hung out in the late 60s. We were growing up, still going there, and a lot of people stop by. They have jams. Sometimes you get people like the Teenage Fan Club will stop by, or yeah, it's a really cool place. I've always been a private person. I've been quite shy. I'm kind of like a recluse. Well, Andy Warhol is a lot, you know, like I am. You know, he's an individual. He's quiet, kind of a shy person. That's the way I am. And he has his own set ways, his own restaurants he goes to, and his own friends he hangs out with. He's an artist, and I'm an artist myself, but the music I play on Sunday nights on my radio show, the way I mix it together and the music I bring to the people is like my art. Everyone knows me. I'm like the person that they know, that they trust. You know, because I'm not one of those snobs. You know, I'm not stuck up. I'm a friendly. I'm a little shy. I admit some people may think I'm stuck up. I'm not. You know, I'm very friendly. I treat everybody equal. I'd treat David Bowie like I would a homeless person. I'd talk to him the same way. But yet I know David Bowie, and I know, you know, people like Jimmy Page. Then I know homeless people too, and then I know these amazing models, and let's keep everyone's equal to me, you know.
I was very happy with what I was doing. I never looked backwards at anything. Every goal that I had set for myself, I accomplished. Unfortunately for me, I didn't tell myself I wanted to have 15 gold records, because maybe if I had done that when I was 20, I might have a wall of 15 or 20 gold records. I wanted to beat Willie Moscone, who was my idol. I loved playing pool. When I was a teenager, I used to break dates to go play pool. And that's how exciting it is to me. I learned my ABCs on the scoreboard, chalkboard in the pool hall. And I can't tell you how many times I'd wake up in the middle of the night asleep on top of the pool table. So it's my first love. That's one of the reasons why I got the job at Best Billiards. Well, Best Billiards is a place that's in Santa Ana, California, and it's the largest billiard supply store for playing pool billiards, pocket billiards, or snooker. And we supply all of the billiard parlors in our country here with all the supplies that they need. And we also furnish private homes with custom pool tables. And that's a great job. It's something that from being a pool player at a real young age, I love playing pool, obviously, and so to work at a place that sells pool tables and cue sticks, exotic cues, is the best, most favorite thing. It's like for me working in a toy store, and it's an adult toy, of course, but for guys, it's a guy kind of store, and it's a lot of fun. The billiards job is a job I look forward to because it's run by a really nice family, and then the association is a job that I get to work with my other family, and literally my brother, who happens to be my boss when I'm doing that. Well, the association first started back in 1965, and my brother Larry, he's the primary lead singer in the band, and about 1972, 71 and 72, I ended up working for the association as primarily their sound man. They wanted someone with a musical background to be able to do a vocal mix like they wanted to sound like. And so that was the whole reason. The idea was really solid when you think about someone that's an actual singer that's mixing vocals for in the sound system. And that's pretty much what my job was at that point. This particular place, we're playing in the Lido Island Yacht Club here in California, and it's the sun's about ready to go down, and it's just beautiful here. We normally do concerts for corporate dates in big hotels. Sometimes, a lot of times we do outdoor concerts. We just finished doing a whole tour of outdoor concerts. Half the time we're doing indoor gigs for 4,000 to 5,000 people, and then other times we play up to perform in front of 150,000 people. The association was the nostalgia group of the 60s, and if you grew up in rock and roll music, listening to rock and roll music of the 60s, you had to grow up with the association. The reason the group has been around for so long in my opinion, is one major factor is that the quality of our music has always been top dollar. In our case, we love singing all the songs over and over, and that's what our fans come to hear. And if we don't do those tunes, they get pretty disappointed, and they start screaming at us, and then we have to do it, of course, but we do anyway, you know. We have a lot of fun.
I am thinking about getting back into the acting scene again. The opportunity came through a friend of mine who worked with Richard Gere. They needed a stand-in, and so I went down, and it worked out. I started working with him, and I've been working with him for the last couple of years. A stand-in is sounds like a nothing kind of a thing. You know, it's not rocket scientist work, but it's very interesting because in order to have the star lit well, they need to do the lighting. That takes a long time. And so the star cannot be expected to sit there or stand there for hours and then do their scene. So what I do is I will sit or stand or run or jump or whatever the star is doing in the scene while they check the lighting, the sound, they check everything. And it's just been a great opportunity to get back into the business.
I didn't sing for a couple of years, and then I did a wedding. Somebody asked me to do a wedding. I had left the music there at the church, and the next day I went back to get the music, and they had senior citizen luncheons here that the cities would put on. And there was a lady there, and she said, "Is that your music?" And I said, "Yeah, it is." And she said, "Well, do you entertain? Do you play an instrument?" And I said, "Yes. I'm also a singer." She said, "Would you come and entertain us? We'll pay you." And I said, "Well, sure." So I did, and that's how I got really back into doing all the private things and the clubs. And as I went and sang, people would come up and ask me for my card, and I gave out lots of cards. And so I created, you know, another way of being able to express my music and do my show.
Welcome to Leisure World Laguna Hills. This private community, nestled in the rolling green hills of sunny Orange County, California, is not just a place, it's a lifestyle.
I've been down there several times, in Laguna. They call me back every so often to come. I think this particular group I've probably sung for at least 3 times before. They're a senior citizen group, you know. They seem to enjoy my music. That's why they keep having me come back. And they're beautiful. I love the energy that they have. They get up and they dance. I feel it's their party, so when I go there, I want them to have a good time.
And life is like a song.
One of my fantasies was to become famous, to become a star. But behind all of that, I was very fortunate to grow up in a family that, even though I was gay, there was many things I learned in my family. Becoming a star and everything was secondary to being a fulfilled, whole-rounded person with those kind of values that I grew up with.
At you.
My father's my greatest fan. He always has been. And I know my father, as proud as he is of my singing, is even more proud of the person that I've become.
It's about 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning, and I'm ready to go to an audition for a film called Kill 'Em. I sent my pictures in about a year ago to the production company on another project, and obviously they didn't think I was right for that project, but they called me on this one. And I'm looking forward to going in. It's part of a mafia don, and I hope I get it. It is important to get this job. I've been kind of semi-retired, and now that I'm getting back into the business, I seem to be going up for these real tough guy parts. And so that's kind of an acting stretch, because I'm really a pussycat.
Currently, I'm writing worship music that's presented in an ethereal genre, Celtic, spacey, ethereal, no guitars. I call it spooky. Really what it is spooky Christian music, spooky worship music. I started making music again when I felt comfortable to move back into writing without violating my stand, you know, for Christ and that experience as being heterogeneous to the music business and that lifestyle and that draw. I think if a person is a Satanist or a Buddhist, a Hindu, whatever they are, will be able to listen to this music and not be put off by it, because, you know, it's the universal longing to be in the spirit realm that's being expressed.
Many of the kids who were talented didn't need the Monkees. The Monkees was an opportunity. 4 guys got the shot. Some people, supposedly, that were in on it, some of them did move on and went on to very, very successful careers. I think probably out of maybe 400 or 500 people that were seen for the Monkees, I think maybe 20 are still in the business.
Well, these are the famous MGM gates, and I've just come back from an audition, which I'm very happy to say that I got the part. Would have been very embarrassing if I hadn't. But then again, it would have been just another notch in the belt of auditions in Hollywood.
People who tried out for the Monkees, I hope they've made it, because it's been a lot of years. And if they haven't and they're still trying, you know, my heart's with them, and they'll make it somewhere. Even if they don't make it, they will have made it, because they tried at doing something that they loved and they didn't give up. And that's worth more than all the money in the world.
To give up is not in my vocabulary. I don't believe in it. I have so much to keep me busy and so much to live for that I think a lot of that having to do with not having a driving need to be famous. I think you would probably feel more a failure if that were your driving need. I've got to be famous, and I've got to make it. That expression always kills me when I hear that, because I feel that I've had the most wonderful, I've been so blessed to have this life, and I'm not rich, I'm not famous, but I'm happy.
The guy that owns the name of the group was doing Scotch and Soda, and he plays the introduction on the guitar, you know.
I think I was the first
where I
one
was
to say to
saying,
Howard
basically
Johnson
the letter I'm saying.
when the hotel was to Howard Johnson.
You know,
He did Evil Destruction.
You still around?
Oh, Barry?
Yeah.
I have a lot of contentment in my life because I think I've discovered inside that being a loving and a whole person is really the key to a great life. And I think that's the greatest goal we can achieve in life, not being, you know, a big star in Vegas or a Monkee or whatever. I don't want to sing 4 hours a night. I don't want to do it so much that I don't enjoy it. I want to do it to where I enjoy it. Enjoying things is more important to me in life than anything monetary. And if I can enjoy and make a living and be comfortable at the same time, then that's all frosting on the cake. And I've been able to do that so far in my life. And I'm very grateful that I'm at that point.
Tony Mafia.
I was driving to Vegas, and you know whose band I was pulled up alongside and passed? Gypsy Boots.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Swear to God.
Still alive.
I
He was
saw
real
him
close
driving
friends
the
with Vito.
van. He was
Yeah,
driving the
yeah.
van. Honest to God, I was flying by him. I look at the one. Look, it's Gypsy.
RCA.
Yeah, I had to get
I remember seeing the guys
a new passport and my driver's license renewed.
Was
My
I ever
brother
mean
walked-
to you?
He has a nerve to go in there with
I like L.A. You know, it fulfilled everything. I did a lot of movies and did television, did a lot of writing for various publications, and it all came true. If it wasn't for Davy Jones, you know, he gave me my start, my career. I owe it all to Davy Jones from the Monkees. He invented me.
The famous face of Paul Simon is in focus next Sunday when Art House asks why his Face theatrical venture was such a disaster. A roll of the dice, the story of the Cape Man, is at 9 o'clock next Sunday here on 4.